Howdy there, PT37 today. I'm going to talk to you about the Smith & Wesson Mountain Gun. So this is the 2025 rendition of the Smith & Wesson 629 Mountain Gun. So what is the Mountain Gun, might you ask? It is a little bit more slim and trim 629 in this instance. There is a 686 there, but this is the 629 44 Magnum. So it's got a tapered barrel, so as you can tell, the barrel is pretty thin. So that's for weight saving. So if you're hunting in the mountains or just going out in the woods, whatever, you want a nice revolver, but you don't want like a 329 PD. You don't want to get the snot just kicked out of you shooting the thing. You don't want to contemplate death over torching off your 44 Magnum. So whereas this, it's not bad. It's still hefty. It weighs about 39 ounces unloaded, but it's still hefty enough. So it's a good balance between the standard and like the Scandium frame stuff. So I actually really like it. So this actually weighs less than my 4-inch Python. So, and it weighs less than a 4-inch 686. Not that one, but the standard 686 with the full lug barrel, this weighs less than it. So that is really appealing if you're wanting a hunting sidearm, because this, you got 6 shots of 44 Magnum. Dude, I mean, over 6 shots of 357? Yeah, I mean, that's a lot more capability. I mean, do you need the extra? I mean, most people probably don't, but I mean, why not? Like, this is a mild 44 Magnum. It's turned down. I loaded it. So it's a 240 grain hardcast bullet going 1,000 feet per second. So I could crank it up to 1,300 at least, if not more, even out of this 4-inch barrel. So whereas a 357, this is a 158 grain XTP, but like the most you can get out of a 357 is a 200 grain, and most of those don't even stabilize in guns. So most people just load a 180. Well, the best I've seen out of a 180 hard cast is like 1,1500, which is no slouch. But you can get close to that with a 240 grain 44 Magnum. So it's just, I don't know. I just don't know if unless you just really have some reason for liking 357, I just don't know why you wouldn't want to get something like this as far as a hunting sidearm goes. So what's this good for? I've already kind of talked about it, but it's a hunting sidearm. Me personally, I've always wanted a 4-inch 44 Magnum. I don't know why. I just always wanted it. And when they introduced these at the beginning of the year at SHOT Show, I just thought, yep, that's it. Because it does not have the internal lock, which I think is just absolutely ludicrous. Ludicrous. Stupid. So I would have got one earlier. But I didn't want a 629 with the lock in it. I've had them with the locks. I've never had an issue with it, but I just hate them. I think they're ugly, and there's 0 point in it. I think it's stupid. But anyway, this one does not have the lock in it, so I'm like, well, what a better time to get one than now. So it doesn't have the lock. It came with the nice wood grips, which I'm just a sucker for wood grips. And these grips are fantastic, by the way. So kind of jumping ahead into ergonomics. These grips, so they're not, look, they got a nice swell in there, so it really, man, it fits your hand just great. And I've had a 6-inch or a 6.5-inch 629 Deluxe before, and it had the wood Altamont grips from the factory, and they were horrible. They didn't feel bad in the hand, not as good as these, but man, they were so right here, they were thin. They were like half as thick as this is, and I'm left-handed, and I would shoot that thing, and I actually one time wore a blister here and wore it out in the same shooting session and was bleeding all over my gun. Didn't even know it. My hand was so numb from shooting 44 Magnums. I didn't even know it. I set the gun down, there's blood all over it. And I got Hogue rubber grips, but I cannot stand the looks of them. I think they look horrendous. Do they handle recoil a lot better? Yes. Are they the better grip? Probably. But man, just look at that. Ain't that just pretty? That's just such a pretty gun. Anyway, so jumped into ergonomics. Now trigger. Let's talk about the trigger. This actually has a fantastic action on it. Double check that I'm unloaded. Yep, unloaded. So the trigger pull man, it's so smooth. One of the better Smith & Wessons I've had for sure. And the single action, it's a little heavier than I like, but it's super crisp. So I got my trigger gauge out here. Let's try it out. Oh, there we go. Okay, I always screw this up somehow. Wow, 9 pounds, 11 ounces. 9 pounds, 8 ounces. So, you know, mid to high 9s on the double action, which is good in my book. Yeah, let's try single action. 3 pounds, 3 ounces. Okay, it may be a little bit in my head about it being a little heavier than I'd like. I mean, I guess it could always be 2.5 pounds, but yeah, 3 pounds, 3 ounces. Okay, so now I'm just being picky on the trigger. That is a fantastic trigger. So anytime you can get a double action revolver under 10 pounds, even 10 pounds ain't bad, but 10 pounds and less is good in my book. So it's definitely light enough you can pull it pretty easy, pretty smoothly. So anyway, the action's good. And then so talked about the grips, trigger, and he also got it's a smooth trigger. It doesn't have serrations in it. I like the smoothness. And they're chrome flashed, I think is what they call them. So they're just stainless looking, which I like better than the color case hardening hammer trigger that a lot of the new Smith & Wessons have. I just like this better. It just looks cleaner to me. And cylinder release, typical push forward, open up, ejector rod. So one problem you may run into with these guns, I have not had it with this gun yet. I say yet because I've had it with other 44 Magnums I've had in the past. So this ejector rod will back off under recoil. It would start to unscrew, and then so when it unscrews here, it'll kind of like bind up, like it won't let it open up. So I mean, usually you can finagle it and get it and just tighten it up, and it's not a huge deal, but so far this one seems to be locked in place and not going anywhere. So the front, the sights, it's got a nice gold bead front sight here. I like that. And then adjustable rear, pretty standard Smith & Wesson. Does not have the wide outline as most of them have. But so I got 2 issues with this revolver. Are they a big deal? No, they're not deal breakers by no means. But this front sight pin, I can wiggle it. I can just push it back and forth. So I thought about sending it back, but I don't think I'm going to. I mean, I've shot it a fair amount. I've shot at least 100, 200 rounds out of this thing. And it's not, I just keep an eye on it. It's been fine. But what I keep meaning to do is buy just a little dab of super glue and just take it out, just cover it with super glue and stick it back in there. I think it'll solve the issue. I mean, the front sight isn't wiggly at all. Well, I say that. It's just a touch wiggly. Not bad. So I'm either just going to buy a new pin or just stick some super glue on this. And I want to try super glue first, see how that goes. But I'm not too worried about it. So what's the other issue? The other issue I've had is light primer strikes. So if you've had any Smith & Wesson revolvers, there's about a 99% chance you've had a light primer strike with it. Okay, so what it is there's a strain screw under these grips. There's a leaf spring. It goes right here. And then there's a little screw in the front that puts tension on that leaf spring. So what happens is that screw will back out and you'll get light primer strikes because it does not have as much tension on the spring. So I had a light primer strike. It was like 1 out of like 40 or 50 rounds. And it was in double action, which is usually when it happens. So I got home, took grips off. Strain screw was already tight. Tight as it'll go. So that was not my problem. So I really don't know what the problem was, but I found a Grand Power brand firing pin. So these have a frame mounted firing pin right there. So I got a Grand Power firing pin for $12, I think it was, off of Midway. And you can see it poke through right there. And so it was about 17 thousandths longer than the factory. So I just installed that. I shot 3 or 4 cylinders, all double action, used 2 different kinds of primers, and 100%. So that fixed my issue. So could I send it back? Yeah, but I mean, I just assume spend $12 and fix it in a week, then have to send it off, wait all that time, get it back, and it may or may not be fixed. So it's kind of been my experience. So anyway, so far, good to go on that. But so let's talk about how did it shoot. So I've talked a little bit about the grips handling the recoil better. So the recoil is stout. Don't get me wrong. It is stout, but it is not unmanageable. I was worried about it being unmanageable. And it hurts. It hurts if you're shooting 44 Magnums. Even these mild Magnums, they feel fine shooting single action. But if you're shooting double action with these, I really don't want to shoot a lot of them, because just that little hump right there just pummels the web of your hand. So anyway, specials are about just right. They shoot very good in this gun. And even specials are pretty stout. I mean, they're about, like 45 ACP. So Magnums, they hurt, but they're manageable. Mild Magnums, manageable. Painful in large quantities. Specials, just about shoot them all day. So don't let the extra weight run you off of this. If you want it, it's not really, I don't think this is any less pleasant than my 6.5-inch gun was. I really don't. I mean, I'm sure it is a little bit objectively, but I don't want to shoot this any less than I did my 6.5-inch, if that makes sense. So take that for what it's worth. Now, accuracy. I don't have any paper targets to show you, but I have had a little bit of a time. It's not the gun's fault. I'm having a hard time finding out what the gun likes. So I have shot a 2-ish inch group with these loads, but not consistently, which isn't with this brand of bullets. I've had so-so accuracy with them in all of my guns. So I'm not blaming the gun. I think it's just that specific load. And I shot some XTPs, but I was just shooting them for function and see what kind of velocities I would get out of this thing. So accuracy is still kind of out there. It does heat up very fast, the barrel. So I don't know. I'm just gonna have to work on that a little bit. I have no reason to think it's inaccurate. And like I said, I've shot a good group with this load. So I mean, I know it's capable. I think it's just a little bit. It's gonna take me a little bit to figure out what exactly it likes and what it don't like. Okay, so speaking of loads, what can you expect to get out of a 4-inch 44 Magnum? So like I said, I'm getting 1,000 feet per second out of these loads. I loaded up some 260 grain key style bullets. I was trying to get them to around 11 or 1200, but even with a lower end charge, I was getting 1,300 feet per second out of this thing. That's a lot of energy. 1,300 feet per second with a 260 grain bullet. I mean, that is trucking. And I loaded up some 300 grain bullets, and I'd like to play with them a little bit more, but I've got about 1150 out of those, out of this gun. So I'm really impressed with the kind of velocities you can get out of this 4-inch gun. It's definitely more than capable. So what's some competitive options? Well, some competitive options is this 686 mountain gun. So if for some reason you're a little bit more about 357, say you got a 6-inch 357 and you kind of want a 4-inch one to pack around with you, it's a great option. But as far as big bore guns go, you got the standard 29, standard 629, you got the Red Hawk, the Ruger Red Hawk, you got the Colt Anaconda. So let me tell you, I picked this over all those. I really weighed them all out because I really like Colts, I really like Rugers, and I like Smith & Wessons. So why did I pick this? I picked it because it's lighter. So my use for a 4-inch 44 Magnum is a Woods sidearm. So either something I want to take hunting, or like if I want to, go on a 4-wheeler ride or something, this is what I want. Something like that. I'm a big time revolver guy. Love revolvers. I love 357, but 44 will do everything a 357 can do and then some. So, and this weighs as much as or less than most 357s. So it just made way more sense in my mind to buy this. This weighs about 10 ounces less than the Colt Anaconda, around 8 ounces less than the Red Hawk, and about 4 or 5 ounces less than the standard one. So it just made so much sense to me. So now, all that being said, I don't think I would have bought it if it had the lock on it. That's a big deal to me. I don't want that in a defensive weapon. If I want to count on it for defense, I don't want that stupid lock on it. So that's another reason why I went with the mountain gun specifically. So if it wasn't for if this wouldn't have came out, I'd be doing a review of a Ruger Red Hawk right now. So would I buy it again? Absolutely, with an asterisk. I would buy it again in a heartbeat, but just expect to do something to it. Like I said, I put in that extended firing pin, and I have the front pin, sight pin issue. So are either of those a big deal? No. When you're paying $1,000 for a handgun, should you have those kind of issues? No. I don't know why Smith & Wesson can't get their crap together. This is another video, but this thing, I'm about had it with it. I'm not even gonna get into it here, but I'm having all kinds of issues with this. It's definitely going back to Smith & Wesson. It's really made me mad. The 629, however, it's had its issues, but I've been able to fix it pretty easily. So if you want something that runs on 100% out of the box, I don't know, I wouldn't hold my breath on this. I would, if you do want this and you're gonna plan on using it, take it out, shoot it double action. Because if I just went out and shot it single action, I never would have noticed the light primer strike issue. If I just went out and shot it single action all the time, then I would have loaded it up, took it out in the woods. If I needed it, I would have probably fired double action, and it could have went click instead of bang. So now, good thing is I can pull trigger again, and it might go off, but that's just not something you want to have to worry about later when you might actually need it. So anyway, so I would absolutely buy it again, but just go into it thinking, okay, I might have to do a little tweaking to this. It might have to go back to Smith & Wesson. I don't know. So just, I mean, take that for what it's worth. I don't mean to just rag on Smith & Wesson. I got a Colt Python. I sent back to have fixed. I had an issue with it. Action was locking up. Sent it back to get it fixed. Got it back, doing the same thing. Luckily, I found out what was wrong with it. I just fixed it myself, because all these gun companies have their issues. I've had issues with Ruger too. So I'm not just ragging on Smith & Wesson. It's just, in my experience, I've had more issues with Smith & Wessons than any other guns. So anyway, take that for what it's worth. Overall, it's a fantastic gun. I think anybody would be happy to own one. So thanks for watching. If you liked this, please like, comment, subscribe. Really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.